we will call the levy hearing to order.
So as you know, each year we are required to post for public information the proposed tax levy for the upcoming year. This is the tax to be levied at the end of the or January, essentially January payment. Our assessed valuation did see a considerable increase, and so as a requirement, we are required to roll back our Fund 1 incidental levy. You know, it's kind of up to the board. This is a philosophy question in essence. You have the option to transfer that loss over into debt service, as we've done before, to prepay some existing debts, or you can roll back the levy. It's called a voluntary rollback. In essence, you can't roll it all back. Obviously, you have to pay. You're obligated to pay your debts to a certain extent, but essentially, we can roll it back 3 cents. It's 0.03056. So basically, what you're talking about is a philosophy difference. If you want to keep the total levy the same as it has been, or if you want to roll that back due to the increase in assessed valuation. So it's a 3 cent. It'd be a 3 cent rollback. Actual dollars, it amounts to roughly $79,000 of a difference in Fund 3. So it's kind of up to the board's discretion. We've advertised it at the higher rate. That way, the public will see that, you know, if we keep it that rate, that they'll know that that's what was advertised, and if we roll it back, then they'll see a small savings. So.
And would we vote on that next month?
No, it's voted in the.
Further down.
Yep,
Yes,
further
yes.
down.
Yep, you're right.
7A.
Yep, 7A. So that has to be submitted to the county by September 1st. So that's why we moved this meeting, which is normally the last week. But I wanted to be able to amend that. If we wanted to roll that back, I'll have to amend some paperwork. So basically, the board determines which amounts you want. It's either the 54772, which is our current levy, or you can roll back the total levy, so it's 54421, which would be actually rolling the debt service fund back by that 3 cents.
And the debt service fund is what we're using now that we'll have to start paying back the bonds.
I mean, it's a continual payment, yes. So we use it to pay existing bonds and the current bonds. So we've got several
like the
bonds.
new bonds that we just passed, we're going to have to pay on those. Okay.
And so Form C is a calculation tool that we use. It tells us how much money we actually have to use, what the levy is required to pay that debt back. And so, well, that's basically where that's at.
So rolling it back means we'd have less to pay those debts with.
Correct.
Okay.
You'd have roughly $79,000 less to pay it back.
And you have to pay them back anyway.
You do.
So
That's right. It allows for prepayment if you want to do that. So you're capped on the amount of money that you can put in Fund 3, and that money has to be used for debt payments. So when you get near that cap, LJ Hart will come to us and they'll say, "Hey, you're approaching that cap. You need to prepay some of your bonds," which is a good thing because then you see interest rate savings. So that's
we'll see that savings
yep.
in other aspects
Yep.
later.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Then we will just hang tight till 7 o'clock. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have one on We need to approve the agenda, please. Can I get a motion?
Make the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We need a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Audience delegations. I do believe we have one for this evening.
Yes, Isaac Shelton.
Yeah, come on up. If you could turn the microphone
It's on.
up.
It's on.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. My name is Isaac Shelton. I'm the president of the Harrisonville Band Boosters. And I'm here tonight to talk with you about the percussion stipend, as noted on 8A. A little background. At the end of the 2019-2020 school year, we did have a percussion director at that time. She had left towards the end, and her position was not immediately backfilled because, well, the end of 2020 school year was pretty weird in a lot of ways, so we didn't even bring that up at that time. And then the 2020-21 school year was, again, last year was kind of a weird year as well. And it really wasn't necessary to have a third director at that point because, well, really we didn't do a whole lot as a band. We weren't sure what we were going to be able to do week to week, day to day. So it didn't seem appropriate to petition for another director at that time. Coming into this year, we all kind of hoped it would be back to normal somewhat. And I believe at that time it was brought up that, you know, could we maybe get that director back? And we were told, well, unfortunately that position was eliminated, which we kind of understood because it had been a whole year, but we were bummed out, of course. So then we asked, I believe, if we could have the stipend for somebody to come in and a former student or anybody we could really hire to help with the percussion. And we were told, no, unfortunately that's not going to be possible as well. So we were again bummed out about that as the band boosters. So we thought, well, maybe we need to explain things a little better. Maybe they just don't understand how the band works. So we put together, I don't know, kind of an analogy with comparing it to sports because everybody likes sports and we all know how the sports work. For example, the football team has an offense, defense, and they have a special teams, and they're all separate but their own way. We love the football team. We love being on the football field, and the band has brass, woodwinds, and percussion. And I think everybody probably knows what that is, but they're kind of like three legs of the band, just like the three legs of the team. And it's possible to have a coach or a director have some overlap, but it's very difficult or impossible to be incredibly effective at it when it comes to training the kids and teaching the kids and coaching the kids, so to speak. So the percussion tech would be critical for the kids to have a good year. Even when I was in band 20 years ago, we had one. It's just always been that way as far as I know. So we broke down a rate of what we can be semi-competitive. I mean, it's kind of a semi-volunteer position. Somebody has to want to do it. Like a lot of things when you're doing, I think in the teaching world, there has to be a passion and desire for that person to be there. So we can't compete with the real big schools, but we understand we don't have the kind of budget that the big schools have. But $15 an hour is about as low as we can go, where we can at least cover somebody's expenses a bit. And we added up the amount of time it takes for the camps. There's Thursday night practices, games, competitions, etc. And it came to $47.25. I know that's a lot of money as far as a stipend's concerned, but that's just what it takes to do it. So we just wanted to bring that up to the board, and hopefully that very high level and quick explanation explains where we're coming from, and we are hoping to get some kind of a discussion going on that so we can move forward. And hopefully I can answer any questions you might have and or any additional information you need about that. But that's the short version. So.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. No questions? Okay. Thank you.
Monthly information items. Any questions? Instruction management update.
Hello again.
How are you?
Good.
Good evening, everyone. Lots happened last month. Kids are back. It's good news for everybody, right? So, similar format as always. We're going to bounce through all the schools, and I have about 4 photos from school for each school. I'm going to talk through kind of where we're at on each building as well. So, Cash Career Center, all the interior renovations are complete and are occupied. So, we're still wrapping up some punch list items in various locations, but they're all occupied. So, photo upper left, that's kind of the new entryway, kind of new signage in there. Lower right-hand corner is the new secure entry vestibule. So that's where that old kind of wood paneling and old glass was. So you have complete secure entry glass vestibule there. Nurse addition, metal panel is up. And then that lower left is actually a photo of the interior of the nurses addition. So that's kind of the where all the beds are going to be and where they're going to run their clinicals. As far as the additions goes, this nurse addition in particular will be turned over to the district next week. So you guys will be able to occupy that. The fire addition hopefully will be turned over next week as well. And then we are still on track for the ag classroom and shop there, kind of on that west side, those Butler pre-intermetal buildings. Those buildings are supposed to show up end of the month, early next month. So we're still tracking for a December completion on those 2 particular buildings. The greenhouse is up and complete. We have not wired it yet. We still need to hook up electrical to the greenhouse, but the physical structure is complete and completely built out. So that we're tracking pretty good. Exterior work, the asphalt was replaced on the east side, kind of the main entryway, so that's all been complete and repaved. We did end up doing a full depth replacement there. You only had 4 inches of asphalt at the Cash Career Center. That's why the asphalt was pumping and failing pretty bad. So we went back in with a full 8-inch section, so it should last you a very long time. And on the west side, that asphalt will be replaced probably October, November timeframe. We want to get the buildings up first before we replace that asphalt. So we replace in what we're calling phase 2. So tracking pretty good on the Cash Career Center. Early Childhood Center, this will be complete and turned over. The addition will be complete and turned over to the district early next week. So upper left-hand corner, that's the new main entry kind of reception desk, admin desk that you'll see when you walk in. Upper right-hand corner, that is a new restroom that's just off of the nurse renovation area, which is the lower left-hand corner. That's kind of the new nurse office. And then the lower right-hand corner is your new security vestibule as part of the addition. So a complete glass glazed enclosure, all aluminum, dark bronze, floor to ceiling. It's going to be very impressive when you guys walk through there. I know we're talking about potentially a tour next month, so I'll be glad to show you guys all that. Making good progress on that. We also finished up the insulation replacement on this job this last month, so all the interior insulation hydraulic piping was replaced this summer as well. As far as the parking lot goes here at the ECC, if you guys, I'm assuming everybody's driven through that recently, so that is complete and operational. And I know these two were looking at traffic flows the last couple of days with intense detail. So it's been great. I think it's been a great improvement over what you guys had last year. So the lights are up, and I'm being told that we'll be ready to go for the game Thursday night. So all your new parking lot lights should be up and ready to go. So making good progress. And then we sodded today too, so some nice green grass as long as the water stays on. Middle school, this project is also complete minus a few punch list items. So obviously this one was mainly the cafeteria and kitchen renovation. That was the big bulk of that project. So the wall in the kitchen was moved out, as you can see there looking into the kitchen. Some new equipment, new epoxy floor, new paint, new ceiling tiles. On the lower left hand, that is looking north, which that gray wall there was kind of where the existing counselor offices were, so that's all been knocked out, and that cafeteria has been pushed, I guess, farther north, about 12 feet roughly. The whole width of all those, kind of where that old walkway was and those old counselor offices, kind of expanded the whole cafeteria at least 12 foot there. Upper right-hand corner is what was the classroom on the left when you walked in the front doors of the middle school, so that is where the new counseling offices are. That's a look into what used to be a classroom. Now it's 3 offices and kind of a reception desk. So took a classroom and made it offices. And then the lower right-hand corner is the hallway on the east side, kind of walking out into the new parking lot. And you can see where we created some collaboration areas with kind of benches where students can sit on, read, talk, teach, etc. Kind of a great little neat spot for students to gather. That's where wall used to be lined with lockers. So we took all the lockers out and made those benches. HVAC upgrades were completed as well. So if you remember, we replaced all the unit ventilators on level 2 of that building. Those have all been complete and upgraded as well, and are all functional. Harrisville Elementary School. No big deal. Big bulk of this project was the main entryway renovation, so to create the secure entry vestibule. So you can see there upper left-hand corner looking at a new set of storefront doors, which will provide that vestibule secure entry, and then the door on the upper right enters into the reception area, admin area, so that's where visitors would check in before they entered the building. All that's been completed, and then a lot of that was kind of a facelift, paint, flooring, ceiling tile upgrades, and then we moved a few walls around and created this kind of a break workroom in the back, which is that lower right-hand corner. You can see that new room that was created for teachers to use, kind of a teacher workspace area, break room. Lower left-hand corner is a rework of what was kind of an existing ADA ramp, if you want to call it that. On the lower left, that was on the north side of the gym. So those two doors are kind of right next to the gym on the north side of the elementary school. So that's a new ramp. We also redid the bridge on the south side where first grade enters. So we redid that concrete as well. That's all been completed and it's accessible right now. So what's left to complete kind of globally, some landscape here and there. We're trying not to landscape until September given the heat we've had. Otherwise, well, we all know what's going to happen there. So we're going to wait till probably middle of September to complete landscaping. Controls is also up and running. So the buildings we did touch has a new control system. So we've switched over from what was an Allerton system to automated logic. So that's a new system that's going to be coming up online. That's all been replaced as well. So eager to get that turned over to the district so they can start using it. Everything's going pretty much according to plan. Metal panel, I know we talked last month about metal panel. So I'm glad to say that the soffit panels and roofing panels for the canopies are here. The under panel for the soffit of the middle school is actually installed today, so that's complete. And then the metal panels for the exterior of the early childhood shipped yesterday from Texas. So they should be here tomorrow. So our guys are working right now between 9 and 2, roughly. So we start after school gets in and we leave before school gets out. That's when they're working around those canopies and we have it all partitioned off where no one can access it but our guys. So I'd say we're a couple weeks out from getting all that metal panel complete, weather permitting. So really here, that the ECC is going to change from an aesthetic standpoint real quick once that metal starts going on.
And that's that walkway between the middle school and the ECC.
Yes, that's the canopy, and then if you look at the ECC as of today, like if you're driving right by right now, you're going to see just some insulation on the side of the walls. That's that metal panel that shipped yesterday. So that's called dry design, and that will be going up. Should be here tomorrow, so it'll be going up later this week or early next week. Any
And then
questions?
You'd made I met you out front there.
Yeah.
And you had made a comment about our local contractors.
Yes.
So one in particular, and I just thought it was a very nice compliment.
Yes.
that-
So Harrisville Electric, being as you know, won the bid for all the electrical on all the projects. I can tell you they have been fantastic to work with, and they have given 120% every single day. Those guys are working 10, 12-hour days and every Saturday for about the last 8 weeks. So we're giving them great kudos, and if you guys, the board, want to give them kudos too. I mean, I can tell you they have given it all they have for you guys. So I cannot speak highly enough of Harrisville Electric. They've done a great job. So very proud of the work they've done. So.
On the Cass Career Center, I'm looking at that nursing thing. Are there any windows in that box?
Yes.
Okay.
Go to that. So this is actually a window right here. That's a window. And
Oh,
then on
okay.
This corner over here is actually a window that wraps two corners, so it's kind of a wrap window.
Okay.
And then the door that enters that is actually on the opposite side of that single window there, on what would be the west side. So yes, there's a window or a door on every side.
It just looked like it was just a big old box.
Yes.
This angle's not the best. If you look, when the signage gets up on that other side, because as you're approaching the building, you're going to come from the west.
side.
This is the east.
Yeah.
You're on the east side looking
Oh,
west.
okay.
This is
okay.
east
This
looking
is not
west.
coming up to it.
Oh.
This is on the far side.
That is
Okay.
the southeast corner of the building.
Gotcha. Now I'm orientated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the more aesthetic side is on the other side. And
Okay.
especially when the signage gets on there, it'll look real good.
Yeah, and that signage actually lights up. It's illuminated, so yeah, it's going to really pop from the west side.
Exciting.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The 2021-22 levy rates, we need a motion, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the levy for the 2021-22 fiscal year as follows. Incidental General Fund, $3.8630. Teacher Special Revenue Fund at $0.5000. Debt Service Fund at $1.1142. Capital Project Fund at $0. For a total tax levy of $5.4772.
Second.
Anything to add to this, Paul? Other than
That's what I gave,
what
the
was in the
information I
hearing today?
gave you. So.
Do we have any discussion on this? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Assessment and evaluation of district programs.
All right. I don't really have any prepared comments regarding the budget. Early in the school year, still got changes going on here. Nothing's been set in stone yet, but I would entertain any questions that you may have.
We're good. Thank you, Deb. Strategic plan update, Paul.
So just a couple of notes. I'd like to just compliment Newkirk and Novak construction management firm. Just the efforts that they went through have been tremendous. I know when we came in August, we were panicking, and just John and Lynn, the owners in particular, contact me almost every other day. And hey, what can we help you do? They brought in extra cleaning people to help get things really sparked, and just have done a really good job. Brandon's been here constantly, and we've had a lot of issues that we fought through. A lot of them are related to just old buildings, right? The HVAC in the middle school, just trying to get certain valves to work a certain way, and it's been a constant effort, and they're here all the time helping us through those issues, and so they've been really, really good to work with. I did want to mention Harrisonville Electric too. They have been, I mean, Jason and I go through the buildings late at night. They're here all the time. And so I think that speaks very highly of their work ethic and their abilities and all those things. From a design phase for construction too, we started to talk design a little bit today. Really that starts in September, but the phase two, a lot of it's HVAC tied to rooftop units. We do have some money set aside for ESSER 3 that we could utilize for HVAC, to upgrade the HVAC as well if we need additional things beyond the scope of the bond. We talked about floor tiles and different options for floor tiles at Mcewen and Ccc and different locations too. It's been common for schools to use VCT tiles for a long time. They crack. They're difficult to maintain. A lot of wax. A lot of effort to keep them looking good. The wear is not great on them, so we've talked about polished concrete, which we do have in some of our locations. We've talked about LVT, which is a different. It's luxury vinyl tile, I guess, is what they were. It's not a polished. It's kind of more of a matte finish, but you don't wax it like you do VCT. So just different topics we had today. We also have roofing projects that go along with that. So that's kind of what we're going to head into with design of phase two as we head on. Something that we've really been exploring is mental health. How we can expand our capabilities for mental health, not only for our students but for our staff. And so part of the ESSER 3 money can be used for counseling services, licensed professional counselors, and so we've started to talk about that and may have a proposal. I think we will have a proposal for the board at the September meeting about somebody who's an expert in mental health. And so that is really an area where I think you'll see schools evolve to is mental health, because we're not doctors. I mean, we can help in certain areas, but just the high level of needs that we're starting to see, it would be good to have those tools in place, and we have some of those tools, but to evaluate whether those tools are effective. We need somebody who has knowledge of the mental health profession to evaluate our tools and how we can get better at serving our kids and our staff. Quite honestly, our staff has undergone a lot of trauma too, and so we in September I think we'll have a proposal for you that will utilize some of the ESSER 3 money for that. You'll hear me talk a lot about ESSER 3. We did send a survey out to the community about the needs assessment on ESSER 3, just a general survey. We have about $2.4 million in ESSER 3 money that will be coming in that we can spend over the next 3 years. And so part of that has to be used for learning loss related to shutdown. So how do we compensate for that? We do have some tools in place to identify learning loss, like FastBridge. You know, Christy's brought to you information about FastBridge data. That's one of the tools we use. But how do we fill in those gaps? And so we've identified some tutoring mechanisms and maybe some transportation needs to provide after-school tutoring transportation. So those are some things that we can do with that money as well. So just a lot of ideas that we're developing that we'll come to the board with in September. So that ties in right with our strategic plan and how we can help our students, but we definitely don't want to leave out our staff. I think a lot of times we just in the past 28 years of education, we kind of just assume, hey, staff are adults, they can go get that help on their own. They just don't know where to go or how to get it or if it's effective. And so we feel like when it comes to retention and employment, that is something that can help retain staff, is how we can help take care of them. And so that's along those lines too. So but that's probably about it.
So when you're talking about like the mental health for the staff, how does that roll into like the insurance that the district offers? Would there be coverage through the insurance, or would we get a lower rate?
Well, it depends on how we want to set it up. So if we want to hire somebody that's a medical professional, what their skill set is, that would be something that we could talk about with our insurance company on offering deductions if we offer those services in-house. We do have a service right now that we offer for employees. It's not very well used, to be honest. It's not they don't know about it, but a lot of when it comes to mental health, quite frankly, it's somebody that you trust, and it would be nice to have somebody that staff would feel like who is capable and professional and all those things. And that's something that we can definitely talk to our insurance provider about too. So
would there be one of them to cover the entire district, or there would be?
Well, I mean, again, we'll have a plan for it in September. Okay. It's nothing's set in stone yet at this point. We've had some conversations. Annie and I, in particular, Annie's basically in charge of those services right now, but that's not her background, right? So it's just making sure you have the right people in the right places, and making sure we can get the best care that we can. So.
Paul, when you talked about the next phase of the construction and talk about the rooftop units, is there any way to order those now?
Yes, is Brandon still here? Did he leave? Brandon, you want to talk about rooftop units?
Yeah, so rooftop units are, as a lot of things, having issues with long lead times pushing out. And so what we started talking about today was what can we do to expedite that process and kind of pull those back a little bit.
So we were going to engage Smith & Boucher, who's your mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineer, to do a walk of the high school, Mcewen, potentially within the next couple of weeks to identify where are the key units that really need to be replaced. So kind of start to obviously do an overall review of the whole building and kind of would be nice to have replacements and kind
I
of
think
segregate.
most of them need to be replaced.
I think that's the general consensus, yes.
And some of them we have replaced, so that's
Right.
we have to get all that in line.
Yeah, and then once we get that, to bid that out sooner rather than later, and to potentially, depending on the lead time and the manufacturer that is ultimately awarded the bid, to start replacing those as soon as possible. And I actually like that better myself as well, because if we were to start to slowly replace those, let's just say we get them by December, which would probably be reasonable depending on the time frame. We start picking off 3 or 4 a week, and we just do that through all winter into the spring, instead of waiting till next May, and all of a sudden now we got to replace 70 rooftop units over the summer. That could cause some issues. So really to get ahead of it now would be the plan.
Right. Good, thank you.
So
Yeah, we thought about that, and there's a lot of schools will be using ESSER money for HVAC needs. So, if we can get ahead on the order, that'd be good.
Yes.
yeah, absolutely get in line early. Is better.
Exactly.
Is better.
So you're going to try to do the manufacturer bid, and then are you going to have an installation bid?
No, I would put out the bid for, typically it would be the installers that would be submitting the bids. And then they would be bidding, we actually talked about today too, is what manufacturers would you like in the district? Some districts want all the same manufacturer for obvious reasons. From a maintenance standpoint, it's easier if you all have, I'm just throwing Train out there. If all your units are Train, it's easier for you to maintain as a district, right? Some districts aren't so proprietary and want to open it up for more competition, which is great too. So we started talking through what those manufacturers would be that you would entertain today, and I think we narrowed it down to 2 or 3. So what we would do is we'd have a specification. There would be a base of design, and then we would bid it out to installers. So we would get installer bids, and then they would say, I'm carrying this manufacturer, and here's my bid. And if you wanted to switch this manufacturer, here would be my bid. If you want to have this manufacturer, here would be my bid. So you'd have 3 different numbers because each manufacturer is going to give you different numbers depending on their equipment. So it could be also a conversation we need to have about, it may be a manufacturer you want, and they may be cheap, but their lead time may be off the chart. So we may actually need to adjust accordingly to say, okay, well, no, we actually need to buy up because maybe we can get these units faster. So, those are all conversations that we could talk through as to what's the right fit at that time, given the pros and cons.
What's the lifetime of one of these units?
Rooftops, you're pushing it at 15, 20 years.
So we've got a plan in place for not replacing them all at once again?
Roll the bonds.
Okay. Okay.
If
I mean-
a lot of districts look at replacing rooftops at 15. At 20, you're going to start having problems. At 25, you have serious problems.
And the issues that we have are, ours are all expiring at the same time because they were bought with bond money originally, and so you have limited time in that bond period to spend that bond money. So it'd be nice if we could, hey, we're just going to throw money in the bank and we're going to replace X number of units over so many years, but you only have 3 years to spend it, so get it done.
Okay.
But, you hit the nail on the head, right? You go replace all your rooftops in the high school, and in 15 years you're in the same position. So, okay, now we got to go replace 70 rooftops again. So it's a catch-22 depending on how you replace them. So.
Okay.
Stockpile money in capital projects. That'd be
We will go for local bids for the installers.
Oh, yes. It'll be, so the bid process for install will mirror the same process we've already had. So, yes.
But anybody can bid,
Yes.
not just local.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And will lead time be included in the bid?
I will ask them what their lead time, really that'll come from the manufacturers. So,
Yeah, but
the
it'll be
main-
good to know before the bid is awarded. what-
Oh, yes. No, we would be talking about all that prior to award, and those conversations we'll have with the engineering team and also the district as to what's the best fit.
All right. Do we have any questions or comments?
I had another thing on I just thought of this. We're doing a tour of the buildings. Are the buildings going to be opened up at some point to allow the parents and the public and everything to see the new designs and
We can talk
an
about
open
that.
house?
Yeah, we can talk about that. That's a good idea.
I think a lot of people would be interested.
I think so.
All right, anything else? Thank you again. Moving on to the 21-22 tuition rate, can we please get a bid? Oh, motion. My God in heaven.
I'll make
Motion.
a motion to set the rate for the 2022 school year at 11,000.
Second.
So this amount of money is based on roughly your ASBR amount. They give you a tax rate, what it costs per pupil, and it's roughly around $11,000. We didn't have that number generated exactly from the ASBR yet, but that's pretty darn close right there. So that's what it costs to educate a kid for a year.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Board Policy G275B, can we please get a motion?
I move to approve Board Policy G275B as presented.
Second.
This is just the Missouri ethics law requirement. That's, this is a standard policy that's adopted by every school district in the state of Missouri. It says we're abiding by the Missouri Ethics Commission rules.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Suspension of pay to ride portion of Board Policy F260P. Can we please get a motion?
I move to suspend the pay to ride portion of Board Policy F260P for the 2021-2022 school year.
Do we have a
Second.
Policy F260P does allow for the option of pay to ride, which we have had in previous years. We suspended that last year, just trying to increase social distancing on our buses. We feel like it helped tremendously. With the current levels of where we're at, we would like to continue that suspension of that policy, but allow it to be revisited at a future date next year.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Stipend for percussion specialist. Can we get a motion?
I'm going to make the motion to approve the stipend in the amount of $3,500 for a percussion specialist beginning in the 2022 school year.
Second.
Yep,
Okay.
I think it was Brittany.
So I appreciate Isaac's conversation. We had a great conversation, and he did a great job explaining to me the need and a little bit of the history and going back to Ed Roberts and how that operated at that time. And I concur with his opinion and feel like the intent was the reduction of the teacher, but not the stipend to help the percussion. So I think that was lost in translation somewhere. So the only issue that I would disagree with Isaac on is we don't pay our stipends aren't paid on an hourly position, and if we start doing that, I'm concerned that we get into it's going to get very expensive fast, and we can't, quite frankly, we can't afford to pay on an hourly rate. We pay for a job. It's like we contract those positions, and so what I talked to Isaac about the other day was just the fact that I would recommend $3,500, and if the Band Booster Club wanted to pay beyond that, that'd be great. But really, that's about where that stipend would fall in our level. So that would be my recommendation.
Roughly, do we know how many students do we have in band?
We have just under 100 this year in the high school. In the whole band program, it's over 200. Middle school on up. It's a weird class mixed with extracurricular. It's not.
It's a co-curricular class. Yeah, it's a little
Right.
different. Yeah.
I think it's a good opportunity personally. Not a band member at all. Zero music ability here, but a lot of kids probably go to college. Lifelong skill, talent, used in a lot of things, so I personally, I think it's a very good idea. I like the analogy of assistant coaches or what, so I think it's a good proposal personally.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving on to the CCC fencing bid. We need a motion, please.
Move to approve the bid for the Cass Career Center perimeter fencing project to Legacy Construction and Development in the amount of $28,920 as presented.
Second.
I can speak for just a second on that. It's the fence in the back that we took that on. It wasn't part of the whole construction process. So as we saw how great things were looking, and then we looked at the fence that was going to currently stand back there and cover our the shop areas where we keep some of our equipment. We decided we need to update those. We had leaning posts. We've had problems with gates and fencing and everything back there. We've tried to make it more secure in the past, and those have kind of failed just because the fence was old and not installed very well. So Legacy is local, and they have done some work with Newkirk Novak also with through these projects and have a relationship there. I will say we're not going with brown slats. It does say that in there, but it will be gray or silver slats that will privacy slats that go in there. Left that up to CCC to kind of take a look at that. But when we initially did it, brown was what we're just kind of mentioned. So it'll have a new big door gate that is a sliding gate versus the swing gate, and so so we can get those big tiny homes. I know that's an oxymoron, but those big tiny homes in and out a little bit easier. And then it will have a 3-foot walkout gate with a panic emergency exit gate that we've tried having, but we've had issues with our posts. So I think it'll be a nice fixture back there.
It's on the north side of the building for all
Yep,
of you.
The north.
Yep, for all you
back,
geography people.
West corner. The north. It doesn't extend out to the fire
Right,
tower.
no.
Okay, it's just
No.
right there at the building.
Yeah, it's just
okay.
in the building yards.
Encloses the construction and the auto shop.
Do we have any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? HES and Mcewen playground change orders. We need a motion.
Move to approve the change orders for HES and Mcewen playgrounds as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Jason.
Speak to these also. At the elementary, originally that was part of the Newkirk Novak design to do some of the groundwork, and we did the bid for the playground equipment ourselves. We were trying to keep a newer piece of swing set, and we built the playground around there. As we got into elevations, it was becoming more of a problem to try to build around that than it was to demo. So we were trying to save money, but it was going to end up costing us. So we went ahead and demoed, because the playground, because of the elevations, is moving, and it's going to be kind of in the corner, directionally challenged right there of what corner that is. The building kind of sits at an angle, but the playground is moving up, so it's more level. So this change order includes a new swing that's going to go in to replace what we did demo. We're still short just a little bit, but we'll get that added. And then also, because of the elevation changes with the current asphalt, we need to have a buffer between where the pour and play goes and the asphalt. Otherwise, we're not level. So this includes a concrete sidewalk that needs to go in there. So that wasn't part of the original bid.
So it's not concrete under the swing set.
No, the concrete goes
Right.
between the new pour in place swing playground
So-
and the asphalt.
What is the material under all
Pour
of
in place,
place,
rubber, pour in
rubber.
place.
That's what I thought. That's why I was so confused. Okay. Great.
This is between that. It's kind of like just a buffer zone, because we're not tearing out the asphalt,
Right.
so we already have elevation. The pour in place has to be ADA level, and the playground's not. So the concrete will give us a way to buffer that. Is that a good explanation,
Yep.
Brandon? Kind of layman's terms. There you go.
It'd be hard to tie into the asphalt.
Yep. And Mcewen is a little bit pricier. That was not part of the phase one
work. So when we got that bid, that was just for the playground equipment. And then through this process, just because of where we're at with Newkirk Novak, the projects they have, they were going to end up having to bid and do some of this work. They're not. So the whole set up, the demo and the site prep is being done by the playground company. And we also have to do one of those concrete buffers in between because it's the same thing. So that change order is a little bit more because they will be doing all the demo work and all the site prep that Newkirk Novak had as already part of their scope in the work at HES and ECC.
Are we doing anything in particular with the equipment we're taking out? Is it still usable? Like, can we give it to like local churches and/or?
It is demoed. Most governmental agencies of any kind can't take it, but local people have taken some because once they know it's demoed, if they come get it before the excavator does, it can be gone. So,
Refresh my memory a little bit. Did we vote to buy new Mcewen Elementary playground equipment?
yes.
And that
We
was
bid
about-
on that. That we bid on the playground equipment. It did not have the demolition and the site prep in the playground equipment.
So now the
Newkirk
whole-
Novak was going to do that, but because of the work that we've had with them, it wasn't in their scope. Mcewen was going to be phase 2. We added it to get it done now so that we could build these playgrounds at the same time. So AFCO is doing the demo and the site prep.
So Mcewen's going to cost around $50,000. The playground.
Just the site prep, that's not the actual equipment.
I forget what the equipment
So
bid
now it
was.
could go even more to buy
Well, the
the,
equipment's about,
McEwen is $24,000 on this one.
and that just says
Is
the
in
demo.
addition. This is the demo, and this is a change order from
Change
the
order
bid that we
addition.
did.
that's a change order.
That
addition.
was $250,000 for playground. I mean, I'm doing a rough number. I don't know those off the top of my head. Of all playground equipment, pour in place, rubber, and all that kind of stuff. But they bid it like they did HES and Mcewen, which had, or HES and ECC, which had Newkirk Novak doing all the site prep. Because that was already in their scope of work to do that site prep. So Newkirk Novak's not doing this site prep. The company does the site prep when they install it.
It's still bond money. We're just
It's still-
showing you.
yeah.
We're just showing you the change order amount.
But we've already got the equipment. We bought the.
No, it has not come in yet, but we've
Approved the bid.
Yeah, we've approved it as part of the bond money.
for the equipment. This is just to demo out
Get it ready.
the old,
yes, and get it ready.
which was originally going to be Newkirk to Novak, and now they can't do that. Okay, so this is the addition.
It was going to be phase 2.
It was going to be in phase 2. Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Is that still within the fence at Mcewen?
Yes.
So playground will
It's where
still
the
be
current
contained in
playground
that
is.
fence area. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.